Okay, we're here on the third day of Indietracks, coming towards the tail end. We're here with Baby Seals, who just played a phenomenal performance earlier on. How girls doing?
Very, very good. Thank you, Matt, and thank you very much for saying it was a cracking set. We had a good time, didn't we?
Yeah. Hot and sweaty, but that's how we like it.
And I got glittered, so now I can just see the reflection in your sunglasses you're wearing, Matt, that I have got glittery eyes, so I'm happy.
It's cool. Very glam. It's very glam also. I like, kind of glam. Okay, this is going to be the first question. How long has the band formed?
2015?
2016, I
Was
think.
it? Yeah.
Early 2016.
Early 2016.
Nice.
But we'd had the idea for a little while, but then, so maybe summer 2015, and then
We started recording in 2016.
Yeah. So we just did them in like a friend's house, a friend who's an engineer. So we did some bedroom recordings, and then it went from there.
Then we started getting actually booked for things which we didn't think was going to happen, and so we thought, we better actually do some actual recordings, and that's where we've got our EP from.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be the second question. What are the group's influences and inspirations?
Mine's Jennifer Lopez. I love Jennifer Lopez. I think that was my first inspiration.
I love Dream Wife. They're absolutely like, I caught the set here yesterday, and it was just incredible.
I thought they were just phenomenal.
Yeah, they were so tight.
Yes, same Dream Wife, and like sort of some more commercial sort of people like Blondie, PJ Harvey, sort
Nick
of like
Cave.
Nick Cave.
He's a mega babe.
Nadine Shah.
ESG.
yeah, some great.
Oh, Screaming Females. I'm really into Screaming Females at the moment.
There's a lot. Like I think also the Bikini Kills kind of stuff going on as well, which I really
We've
like.
got a band that we've only played with them a couple of times that are brilliant, called the Menstrual Cramps. We love
Oh my
those.
gosh,
Yeah.
They're really, really good.
They are such babes.
It's weird, since we've started out on the scene, we've met so many other bands that we've kind of fallen for that you wouldn't maybe know in the big wide world. But yeah, so they've become a bit of an inspiration, haven't they, really?
There's a few good inspirations happening with other bands alongside who are playing yesterday and today, like Colour Me Wednesday, who played yesterday.
We love Colour Me Wednesday, and the Tuts as well.
And, Happy Accidents, who played yesterday, also was a good one.
Definitely.
There was a lot of good stuff happening today with Dream Nails. We're kind of
Dream Nails, Punk Witches.
the Punk Witches going on.
Yeah.
Let me head out. Okay, this is next
You
question.
can take out my Jennifer Lopez thing if you want.
go.
I mean, I loved her for years and years. I know all her albums and all her lyrics, but I know it's not really conducive to our stuff, is it?
That's all right.
She does everything, doesn't she?
She's amazing. It's like Beyonce and Destiny's
go.
Child.
Yeah,
We
Destiny's
all
Child.
grew up with that.
Spice Girls.
The Brit.
Garbage.
Yeah, almost Britpop thing going on.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be the next question. Does subject matters like women's rights link to the music?
It does. I mean, I had quite an interesting conversation actually with someone just after our gig who pulled me up on the fact that on our website it says parody in power pop, and she said, "You're not parody pop, you're pop. You're punk. You're not parody punk. You're actually talking about things and singing about things that affect half the population. So why is it a parody?" And I was like, that's a really good point. We're not really parody punk. We are punk, and I think, what was the question? Sorry, it was
The inspiration, subject matters like feminism and women's rights.
With punk especially, it's a movement, isn't it? So feminism is the same thing. It's sort of the two are linked quite strongly. So any kind of movement, that
Destroying the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to write about stuff that wasn't really being written about. We just wrote some songs that we wanted to make people feel better about themselves, and we wanted to listen to them, and there wasn't really anything like that.
No, and we kind of wrote them they're for ourselves as well. These are things and based on conversations that we have had for years. We're very sort of open with each other, and talk about discharge, nipple hair, all sorts, like weird sex things,
And it's important because young girls especially now with porn and stuff being so available, they have slightly skewered views about things. And actually, I think men have this concern as well, and it's not just women. I think, and obviously a lot of our people that have come up to us and been at gigs are non-binary, people who are transitioning and stuff. So it's really important that some of the things we speak about they can relate to as well. And I think it's just us coming out and saying these are embarrassing things that have happened to us and we want to share them. I think that creates a space for them to go, okay, do you know what I mean? We can talk about our shit, and that's what's important, I think.
Totally it's definitely really important to learn that, if you're it's like people who are trying to it helps a lot of people, men should stand by for the women as well, because they want to
we don't want to we want to include everyone. We want to create a space so that men can step forward and go, I want to support my girlfriend if she's having a bad time, or she doesn't have to shave, I'm not going to be that guy that says, you can't have hairy underarms, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that's what when I saw Dream Nails earlier, they were talking about the whole post-Brexit thing, it's a joke, and I do agree. I think it's a joke.
It's going to affect women and it's going to affect men as well, but women also, they're often in the low paid jobs, and it's going to affect us all, and it's going to be horrendous. So
stuff. Okay,
just very quickly as well to add. I think that I think there's a conversation to be had as well about, especially as white women, having a voice and understanding that some women of colour have a much harder time actually than us, and although we have struggles, they have even deeper struggles, and we need to stand by them and not. We need to make a space, not take a space. Yeah. We need to make a space for everybody. But we have to understand that we are entitled in our whiteness, basically.
I think it's the same with people with mental health problems as well. They're going to be affected by it, which is kind of a bit of a horrible moment. It's going to be horrible for them, and I think they need.
So we're not wanting to lead anything. We're not wanting to speak for other people. We're trying to stand behind and to the side of people, and just as they make a space for people. I think that's what this whole scene's about. And I think if you ask any of the bands that we've mentioned, menstrual cramps and people like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to empower people to speak up for themselves. And
spread the message of it.
And stand by people, and just stand by and.
And we can all use the platform to try and help each other to give everyone a voice, to give people who are trans, who are non-binary, people of colour, women, just trying to redress the imbalance that does exist. It is a white man's world, but I think actually in the noughties it got worse. I mean, you've got loads of great 80s and 90s bands, or even starting with the 60s pop and stuff. But I think especially the noughties was a real sort of there wasn't. I mean, especially there was a time when we were growing up, and there was kind of all for women. It was all about wearing baby pink, and
and even now we've played lots of female all-girl band gigs, and that's great, but it's also well, why aren't we just playing normal gigs? Why are we still at festivals saying that why are we still these big commercial festivals? Why is it still that so many of them are taken up by men? It doesn't make any sense.
The big festivals. I think someone did got some of the tour posters and took out all of the white men or the male bands, and what was left was just a handful of female bands. I mean, big female bands. You've got I don't know, Paramore. They've got female fronted, and but there's loads on the DIY and the underground scene that are just waiting to have a voice and just waiting for the mainstream to pick it up. And
so it's great when you have say Beyonce headlining a massive festival, but it needs to drip through to engineers, to staff, to other bands. And you have these big companies. It can. It's not just in music; it's in everything. You have the big companies where they have a CEO that's a woman, but all the management are men, and it's it's you don't want to be the token.
I know.
So.
It's really bad.
Yeah, it's the same with drummers. I sort of subscribed into it a well-known drummer magazine, because they would always have that token female. But again, she was always, and it's fine, but she was always in a pair of hot pants and a crop top, trying to sexualise. And it's not fine, actually. I said it's fine. It's not fine. But there are many amazing female drummers who I really aspire to, who are incredible, and they don't really get a look in because obviously it's a male charged Well,
and now you have things like there's a new guitarist bassist women magazine, but then that causes confrontation because like, well, why have you got a women's magazine? It's like, because we need one, because there isn't any publications that we can just share, and it is a frustration.
This is going to be the last question. Before I mention the last question, that's why I think Indietracks, places like Indietracks, does have appreciation and acknowledgement for women musicians out there, and not for their glitz.
Especially this year,
it's
actually
a
balance. Yeah,
it's
and
about,
also they have the gender neutral loos, and like it's a very safe space for people to come and be exactly who they want to be and who they feel they are, and it's important to do that.
And it's also, it doesn't seem to be like a big it doesn't seem to be a thing, like it's just like you said, it's really well balanced and it's a gender neutral, but it's all just here and no one's making, it's like that's really when it becomes normalised, isn't it, when you turn up to a festival and like over half the bands are female bands, but no one's saying this is a female band, it's just a band that's playing who happen to be females, and that's when it starts to turn, because the more and more, that's why I won't ever call myself a female drummer. I'm just a drummer because it's got to be normalised. Yeah, it has to be normalised.
Like a lot of female bands, I'm very inspired. I like listen to music, like the music they do. I think they have a lot of strong thoughts in the music. Throw in some politics, throw in a few bits and bobs that shows a message towards everyone that we should be being fair towards this. That makes sense.
Petrol Girls, I'd love to see Petrol Girls here next year.
Totally.
They're Ren from Petrol Girls just is so awesome, and she had this when we saw her in Cambridge, she was talking about Destiny's Child, and it was it's okay to talk about them, and for that to be an act to aspire to. It's not I don't know.
I think the thing is with Destiny's Child as well, they were a band that made other girls. I've got a friend who's black, and whenever I go out with her, she always says to me, she always makes me look at shop adverts, in you say in a clothes shop, and she says, who's that? Who represents me in that? Yeah. And I think Destiny's Child gave women who didn't have any representation something to look at and go, yeah, that's how I want to live, that's how I want to dress. And I've thought of something recently. I'm writing a song at the moment about Friends, the episode Friends. It didn't have a black person in Friends. No. It's set in New York, and it didn't have one black person in it.
One disabled person,
what is that? Yeah. What is that about?
But also, I think it's more interesting when you have women, or when you have people who have a life that isn't a white man's life. It just makes it more interesting. There's more variety. There's more.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah.
Just better. It's more interesting.
Okay. Well, this is going to be the last question. Is the band's played at Indietracks earlier on this evening. How did your set go?
Our set was awesome. It was great. We had such a lovely crowd, and the venue was all lovely, and the sound man and the stewards, everything. Yeah, everybody was fantastic, and that makes a big impact on someone's set, because obviously if the foundations are all right, then we can relax and have total fun. And it was fantastic, and the crowd were incredible. They were just
and we were in a church.
Yeah.
And I said tits, and I felt naughty.
I know, I looked down at one point and I saw the first row, everyone's feet were tapping, and I was like, okay, this is good. They're all, even though for the large part, everyone sort of sits down and then stands up at the back. Just wasps. Lots of wasps.
Yeah, there's a few wasps around. Sorry, but
the only things that aren't included in Indietracks really are wasps. We're not inclusive of wasps.
Yeah, I'm not a wasp fan.
But yeah, the gig was fantastic. We really enjoyed it.
Such a good audience.
Yeah,
and everyone was really lovely afterwards, and we spoke to lots of people, and we some of them had heard of us before, some of them hadn't, so it was kind of nice to find
some good inspiration as well.
Yeah.
Years to come. Okay, is there anything that you want to add before we end the interview? Anything you want to throw in?
Just thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you for asking to interview us.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Okay, this is Matt Catling. I'm with Baby Sealed. I'm gonna shut off the interview, and I just want to say thank you for listening to this. Thank you very much, and much appreciated.
Thank you Indietracks, and thank you Matt.
Thanks Indietracks.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Have a good night.
Thank you.